Hello and good evening. Welcome to the first episode of this Quadlet seminar series New Decade, Worst Problems, Climate Change, and Disease Outbreaks. Organized by the Green World Earth Club of SFX Green Herald International School. I am your moderator for the seminar today, Onusri Chakraborty, and along with me on the screen, we have our speakers and my fellow 10th graders, Shenin Tasnim Hassan and Shafat Razin Sardar. We'd also love to thank Sister Asha, our honorable principal, and our beloved teachers, especially Miss Rinku and Miss Noreen, for allowing us to organize our event today. For the beautiful graphics that you'll be seeing in our presentations, we wholeheartedly thank Maisha Mumtahina Islam. And for the promotion, coding, poster designing, and streaming, we express our heartfelt gratitude to Yasa Zahid. For all the captions and messages and invitations that we have sent to you, the beautiful writing was done by Nashitat Tasin. Thank you too for tuning into our Facebook Live today. I hope that you'll be glad to know that all our episodes, including this one, is only 40 minutes long, keeping in mind your busy schedule. Please note that our seminar is not only a learn, listen, and spread theory, but we also want to hear from you. You have the opportunity to post questions as well as to win prizes by answering our jackpot question, which we will be giving to you at the end of each episode. We will have a new episode in our Quadlet series each month, and in each episode, we will be discussing a particular aspect of how Mother Earth's health affects ours. Today, we will be discussing on a surface level, but still in much detail, about the relation of our health statistics with that of climate change, which no doubt in the new decade is a rising challenge. Now, climate change is not really an unknown concept unless you have been living under the rock for 50 years almost, which I hope not, since then you have missed like so much, we don't even know where to begin. Anyways, what I want to imply here is that climate change, pretty much every learned person knows about it. Ever since the beginning of industrialization, now I'm talking about the 18th century here, ever since the beginning of that, climate has started to change at an accelerated pace for the worse. Air pollution, water pollution, sound pollution intertwined with human life, replacing natural delicacies such as the sweet gurgle of river waves or the fresh intake of fresh and poppy scented air. Temperature rose and animals, including humans, panicked. Over time, habitats got destroyed and animal interaction increased. I mean, look at our homes. How much distance do you see between that of that apartment of yours and that of your immediate neighbors? Those close interactions transmit variants of diseases real fast. Take the coronavirus, for example. Not only our health, but the economy that we fabricated with our hard work also gets affected. Taking the current pandemic into light, billions of dollars are being invested and spent to fight against it. Is it really possible to recover so much money? It is almost as if a third world war has started, where the whole world is fighting against one invisible microscopic enemy. In America, the highest inflation in years has started. Certain Asian countries have started to experience negative economic growth. And in many countries, the gross domestic product, GDP, is now on standstill. Living standards for so many people have fallen across the globe. Schools and colleges have closed down, and thus dropouts have increased, especially in poor countries like Bangladesh. Is this the revenge of Mother Nature? To destroy our ultimate passion to research, conquer, civilize, and garnish the economy? Because we have always destroyed her coveted treasures? Perhaps our first speaker, Shenin Tasnim Hassan's speech, would give you some light on this matter.
Thank you very much, Onusri. Hello, everyone. I'm Shane Tassim Hassan. My co-host has explained very well what climate change is. But now to address our main topic of discussion. How is climate change causing disease outbreaks and how in the future it may lead to more pandemics? I will be sharing my screen now. So how is climate change related to pandemics? You may not realize it, but both these overlap in many similar cases. The main reason for this is the increased interaction of animals, especially wild animals, with the human population. The rising global warming rate has resulted into countless natural disasters such as floods, storms, hurricanes, and droughts. Along with that, climate change has caused massive changes in temperature and carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, which directly affects plant growth. Recent studies have showed that climate change has directly affected natural habitats and ecosystems. So, what is the underline here? These factors have therefore brought animals in closer contact with humans. The animals carry infectious pathogens, which are then transmitted among the humans, resulting in outbreaks and finally into epidemics and pandemics. With fewer places to live and fewer forced food sources for the animals to feed on, they find food and shelter where people are, and that can lead to disease spread. As the earth warms, scientists are concerned about an increase in mosquito borne diseases and also infectious diseases spread by animals. There is also the possibility that long dormant viruses frozen in ice over the past centuries could be released by thawing polar regions. The world has been ignoring the climate crisis for too long. In the past decade, global warming rates have gone up severely, and diseases like AIDS, Ebola, and SARS have had a very favorable environment to grow. In January of 2021, a paper published in the journal Science of the Total Environment revealed evidence that climate change may have played a direct causal role in the emergence of the virus responsible for the current COVID-19 pandemic. It said that climatic changes directly created a favorable environment for many bat species to thrive, allowing the rise of novel coronaviruses, including the SARS-CoV-2 strain. Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health said that climate change has also made conditions more favorable for diseases such as the Lyme disease and mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria and dengue fever. We have entered a pandemic era, wrote Dr. Anthony Fauci of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and the medical advisor to the President of the United States of America, in a recent paper he co-authored with his NIH colleague David Morens. The paper states the millions of deaths caused by HIV, chikungunya, and Ebola are the result of the rapid spread of infectious pathogens. Now, we cannot afford another pandemic on top of this because we can see the current state of the world here. The climate crisis needs to be addressed, and the world needs to look at the broader side of these diseases. We have to do more than talk about climate change and about reducing global warming, but actually focus on acting against it. Preventing the ongoing climate crisis is still possible, and the ways in which you can help will be explained to you in the next segment. For now, I would like my co-host Onasri Chakraborty to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanine. That was very well explained. Indeed, we have entered an era of pandemic, as you have so rightly quoted. For such deep insights, we thank you. Now, let me take this moment before we move to the second speech of our speaker, Shafat Rajan Sardar, to thank our dearest teachers, Ms. Rinku, Ms. Noreen, Ms. Anjumanara, Ms. Reshma, Ms. Shazia, and all other teachers who have supported us in all our endeavors. Because of you only it is possible. Now, as Shinin clearly said, climate change has destroyed the possibility of a healthier, euphoric lifestyle for all animals, including humans. Is it fair that for our actions, other wonderful creatures of God will suffer? The percentage of people who fight against such cruelty actively is very less as compared to the percentage of people who cause such sufferings. It is high time we care, because now not only is the beauty of our habitat is at stake, but also our systems of society and the economy that we have so created. So, what can we do to prevent such outcomes? Our next speaker, Shafat Razin Sardar, will tell you more about this matter. Shafat?
Thank you, Anushree. You'd think the end of the world would be enough to get us scared. Humans have always been an exceedingly risk-averse species, which is how we came to survive as a species at all. If there are lions on one part of the savannah, we go to another. If crocodiles keep coming out of the water, we fish somewhere else. So when it comes to the loss of the entire planet, well, we ought to take action, shouldn't we? And yet we don't. We never do. And while the announcement has been reported widely, the public reaction again and as always has been to ignore it. But why is that? What this situation lacks is the me component. Nobody wakes up in the morning and looks at the long-term climate forecast. They see the weather for today and how it would affect their plans today. The main question that results whether a person will care or not is if the situation makes them feel vulnerable. Climate change is a slow and long-term process, so most people don't feel very vulnerable. People discount the risk if the consequences are far in the future. In short, the principle the world is living by is if it's hard to picture, it's easy to ignore. This is, in short, the reason why the world is ignoring this. The best ways we as a people can fight against this is number one, make your commute green. Taking public transportation to work is a great way to cut out emissions. Riding your bike to work is also incredibly helpful to the environment and is a great method to get exercise. Number two, be more conservative with energy usage. Becoming more energy efficient is a great way to prevent pollution. It causes the power plants to expend less energy that can lead to the production of greenhouse gases. Get active and vote. One of the best ways to improve climate change is to help those who fight against it to get into the office, unlike Donald Trump. Recycle. Recycling is a cost effective and eco friendly process that eliminates waste and doesn't emit greenhouse gases into the environment. Be sure to collect your discarded paper, glass, plastic, and electronics to your local recycling center. Educate yourself and others. The importance of educating others about climate change cannot be overstated in our modern society. There are more platforms for us to utilize that and can allow us to spread our messages easily. And number six, encourage the use of renewable energies. Focusing your efforts to spread awareness about renewable energy is the best way to create a positive impact in our community. Thank you, Anusri, for giving me the chance to speak. I'd like to hand over to you now.
Thank you, Shafat, for such wonderful insights and such wonderful advice to our audience on how we can actually reduce the effects that climate change has provided us over the years. Now, I hope that our audience was at the edge of their seats throughout, not because they wanted to leave, but because they wanted to act right now to save the earth. Dear viewers, every small step that you take counts in our fight against our created problem of climate change. So let us take an oath to work in whatever ways possible to save our Earth from today. Now, keeping our time frame in mind, we would like to switch to the questions asked by our audience in the comment box. Please bear with us. Our episode is almost towards the end of its time. So I would go switch to the comment box and check for some questions at the moment. So I think there are some technical difficulties on my part, so I could not see some of the questions. However, I have a few questions in our inbox, in our greenworld.club's inbox that have been sent by our audience. The first question that we have received, I would like to keep the anonymity of our, as he has requested, our question asker. So the first question is, how can we work to actively reduce the which is the best option to reduce the animal interactions? How can we decrease the animal interactions? So I think that animal interactions will happen. Nature works on animal interactions. Interacting animals creates the biodiversity that we have seen around us, making the earth so beautiful. But there are some ways we should actually reduce animal interactions to prevent disease spread. So, Shanine, what do you think are one of the ways, or how can we work to decrease animal interactions?
I believe that animals mostly we come into contact with the animals due to natural disasters of floods and storms which destroy their shelter, as I mentioned earlier. Now, to prevent this, we need to create a cityscape, a city plan, which will keep the animals further away from the human population, right? And that is the job of the government. So they need to come up with a plan which will be well maintained and that will keep the animals from our habitat, from our living space.
That is
What
actually
do
a
you
very
think,
good
Anushree?
insight. I would like to add some things to this. Let us talk about something like this. Giving animals a proper habitat is the best way to decrease their interaction with us. We should replace the lost forests, the deforested forests, to whatever extent we can, so that animals stick to their habitats and not come wandering off to that of humans. As for animals in captivity, such as in zoos, proper treatment and regular checkups are maintained, as in many zoos worldwide. As for the case of human civilization, proper city planning with health advisors can help us determine the safe distance between houses, especially in zones susceptible to certain diseases. Don't you agree, Shafat?
Yes, Anusri. And people should, the humanity should decrease animal interactions, in my opinion. Giving animals a proper habitat is the easy way. We should replace the lost forest to whatever extent we can so that animals stick to their habitats and do not come wandering off to that of humans. As for those animals in captivity, such as zoos, proper treatment and regular checkups are maintained in many zoos, which are required. As for the case of human civilization, proper city planning with health advisors can help us determine the safe distance between houses, especially in zones susceptible to certain diseases.
Thank you, Shafat. That was actually a very detailed information. Now, we have a second question, and this one is from Yasa Zaheen. He has asked us in the comments box, how will climate change and flooding affect the low-lying areas of Bangladesh? So, Sheenin, can you share your insights on this?
Yes, so the due to flooding, the low-lying areas of Bangladesh, they are hugely affected, right? As we can see in our current situation, we are seeing the news every day. Due to flooding, so many people are losing their lands, and with the destruction of the crops as well, people are losing their homes. And due to the current economy of our country, it is very hard for them to recover their living spaces. And the farmers are having huge losses. So, due to the increase in the sea level and due to the increase in the level of water bodies, our low-lying lands, Bangladesh, the largest delta in the world, it will be affected. And the developed countries, they don't care, but we will be the ones suffering, and we need to take care of ourselves and look out for each other. And so we, the people of Bangladesh, as a developing country, need to take the necessary precautions against climate change, and we need to fight for our people.
Yes, you're right. We have to also keep in mind the economic prospects of such events, don't you think? Because coastal flooding or thawing of polar ice, actually, as you said, gives rise to more, say hibernating viruses, right? So if they come out, so the low-lying countries like Bangladesh will be the first to suffer. The economic impact is indeed very much that would slow us down. The billions of dollars spent on fighting the climatic change, like the induced floods and everything, will actually pull down our such accelerated growth at the moment. So worldwide economies are racking their brains to find out ways to regain this money somehow or the other. However, we know that prevention is the best cure. So working for a healthy earth from now on can actually minimize the scale for such disasters. That's the best we can do. Right, Shafat?
Yes, Anusri. We've also got a question from Mr. Asadujaman, who asked what our lifestyle should adopt to address the cause. Well, right now, we're at our confinements of our homes. To work actively against climate change from within the confinements of our homes, we can work to a limited extent. But as we are trying to imply, all steps count. We could reuse the plastic wastes from our house and make them into reusable containers, perhaps. Paper could also be reused for various purposes, like fun crafts, activities to create something of household value. However, the most important step that can be taken that I believe is very impactful is planting trees and cultivating your own balcony or terrace green. Not only will your surroundings be hyped, green, and fresh, but oxygen and purity of air levels will rise, giving you a chance to a healthier lifestyle. Imagine if every single person of Dhaka planted one plant of their choice, with roughly 18 million people in the city. 18 million life saving trees would be planted, 18 million green warriors to give us fresh air. How wonderful would that be?
Indeed, that would be really very wonderful, Shafat. Thank you for answering Asdul Zaman Sardar's question. I think Bashra Parvin Chuma had asked a similar question. How can we, from the confinement of our homes, work actively against climate change? Yes, I think Shafat's answer was pretty much it of answering this question, because from the confinement of our homes, now due to the coronavirus, we are now quarantining inside our houses. So fighting actively against climate change would mean planting trees or reusing our own waste, or making sure that we're actually preserving our electronic garbage instead of throwing it out. Like, we have to take care of what we're using instead of creating more waste for Mother Earth to carry. Now, we
And
have another
I
question.
also think that we have to create more awareness about this, And we have to educate ourselves and the people around us so that they can also take the necessary actions. Because, as Shafa previously mentioned in his speech, people only care about the weather when it affects their plans. So we need to educate us and the people around us so that they know more about the climate crisis and how and the severity of the situation.
Yes, Chindu is very right. In fact, you are right. Actually, now at your home, we have the internet all around us. Everyone is using the internet, so you can actually go easily to Facebook or Twitter, to Instagram, to Discord or any other social media, and easily share the news that is creating a tumult in the world today. Like Greta Thunberg, a girl of our age, similar to our age, is doing so much in the world. So now we can see a question by Riz Khan. I would like to hear the speaker's opinions about how the climate change and disease outbreaks will affect the ecology and how that might affect us. Shafat, can you please share your insights on this question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Reese Khan would like to hear the speaker's opinions about how the climate change and disease outbreaks will affect the ecology and how that might change, that might affect us. You can may talk about animal interactions and all this.
The economic impact is indeed very much that would slow us down. The billions of dollars spent on fighting the coronavirus and other such disease outbreaks have a huge opportunity cost, to use the word of the economists. Worldwide economists are now racking their brains to find out ways to regain this money and somehow or the other. And let's leave it to the big brains to find the ways out. Now, economics is an uncertain, exciting game, and what I can suggest is that maybe spending more time to raise money level and aggregate demand can help rule out the possibilities of recession that many countries are now fearing. However, excessive spending may lead to inflation, so we must be careful. We all know that prevention is the best cure, so working for a healthy earth from now can actually minimize the scale for such disasters. That's the best we can do.
Right, Shafat, you are very right. Shinin, can you please share with us what you think about this question and answer?
Yes, so in the ecology of animals, so as we know from our biology lessons, animals, there's variation in nature. So that means when an animal gets extinct, a stronger, more resilient species rises up, right? So there are greater possibilities that these species have evolved resistance, or if a species is lost, there will be another species to fill the niche of an extinct species. Like in this case, as we can see, the coronavirus that started, there was the SARS-CoV-2 strain, and now we have the Delta variant, which is killing millions of people around the world. So this Delta variant is stronger and more powerful and more contagious than the previous strain. So in that way,
Actually,
we will
now,
we
Shinin, we have the Lambda variant going on, which is actually more powerful than the Delta and has started to actually infect people. So I can understand where you're going. It's very difficult. Now, as you're right, like increased animal interaction, as we said, is a very easy path for infectious diseases to spread, especially those diseases that spread from animals to humans and vice versa. Such diseases are called zoonotic diseases. One example is the human tuberculosis, TB, caused by Mycobacteria tuberculosis, which affects a wide variety of wild animals, including chimpanzees, elephants, and rhinoceros. Although most of these cases have occurred in captivity, the increased contact between wildlife and humans in these settings presents a risk to an animal's health. Some very powerful viruses are known to transmit from birds to humans, and it has happened in the past. If a very big pandemic of zoonotic virus or bacteria occurs, many animals may suffer the risk of extinction. I hope you guys agree with me, right, Shapa and Shenin?
yes, of course.
Yup.
So Samarulin has asked, Greta Thunberg spoke about something similar very recently. So what she said was true. What do you think, Shafat?
Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg has wait, give me 1 second, please. Greta Thunberg is one of the youngest climate activists of our generation, and is a very feisty one indeed. She isn't afraid to speak up against climate injustice and in the connection of climate change and disease outbreaks. She is most certainly correct. She spoke something similar in her speech at the Austrian Climate Summit 2021, if I remember correctly. She did say that climate crisis needs to be treated how the COVID-19 pandemic is being treated, and I completely agree. As I said earlier, the world doesn't treat the climate crisis because it doesn't affect them directly like COVID does. But it won't be long before it does, and so we need to act right now.
Very rightly said, Shafat.
Yes,
I hope
and
Sheen also agrees.
yeah, In the Austrian Climate Summit, Greta Thunberg's speech was so impressive. She called out the world leaders after the G7 summit. I don't know if you saw that or not. Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, she called them out, and she said that they are acting just on the surface and not actually, and they don't actually care about climate change. And that was very impressive, to be honest. I was completely shaken that a girl who is only 18, she is fighting against change and so fearlessly. What do you think, Honestly?
Yes, Shanine, you are right. She is very inspiring, and we must take our lessons from her. We must act and not only speak, which we're currently doing right now. So, we have a question from Sahiba Tasnia Tanushri next. Can the panel enlighten us more about the effects of poaching and how it affects our ecosystem that may accelerate climate change? Thank you, Sahiba, for posing this question. Actually, poaching means hunting, if I'm not wrong. It's actually killing animals and taking the advantage of their skins and their other variety of treasures they offer. So, poaching is actually very bad because it actually kills off the diversity of the ecology. And actually, if we think about it, our earth is beautiful for the various creatures God has created. If we kill them, can we really survive without them? Many animals actually depend on plants, and plants depend on animals. If you kill some animals, some plants also get extinct, and plants are like hold a trove of treasures for us. They hold medicines that can cure very difficult diseases, etc. So it is very important that we preserve our ecosystem instead of killing it off, because who knows, maybe someday Mother Earth will have some treasure for us that will help us create something better in our lives, or help us improve our situation, or cure us of something. Maybe we don't know, but the cure for coronavirus may be hiding there somewhere in the nature. What do you think, Shafat and Shini?
The nature
Yes, you are
is indeed
correct.
a very valuable asset in our lives because they are a part of us, of our community. And if we don't take care of them, who will?
Right, Shini. So we have a next question, which is from Proshenjit Chakraborty. He has asked us whether we can spotlight on Bangladesh context next. So, Shafat, can you please give us some insights on this and how is this affecting Bangladesh?
Yes, sure, Anusri. Bangladesh is undoubtedly is a very power overpopulated country, so human interaction is immense here. So transmission of contagious diseases is also smooth, unfortunately, especially in the slum areas. City planning is one way to prevent this. The number of slums could be reduced, and healthier and positive housing could be built. Plus, fighting diseases. Though Bangladesh has proved to be very efficient to it, it has significant opportunity cost to the country. Climate change induced natural disasters like coastal floodings and unprecedented unseasonal storms, which can cause certain diseases to rise. Thus, a country like Bangladesh clearly needs to act fast and now.
Very rightly said, Shapat, because we are the ones who are going to suffer, not the first world countries. We are the ones who have to take action right now and act really fast to prevent this from getting out of hand. Because our economy has just started to become the greater one. We have started, like, greater one means that we have started to develop right now. We have started to give out loans to countries such as Sudan and have currency exchange programs in Sri Lanka. If we do not, if we plan for the future properly, what can happen is that we have some unnecessary and frightening shocks, from demand side shocks or supply side shocks, and all the opportunity costs will rise and have to spend behind that. And our economic growth, our educational aims, our aims for the future will all stop. So Bangladesh is very much vulnerable, and we must talk about it. So let us
I
now
think we
move
got
to
a
our.
question from Farzin Ferdos Alam.
Yes, Shireen, I was
Oh,
just addressing that.
okay.
Farzin Ferdous Alam has said, great discussion. I am attending the COP26 meeting in Glasgow later this year. Any message you want me to take from you guys? Well, thank you,
Yes,
Farzin Ferdous
well,
Alam, for posing this question. We are actually very glad that you are liking our discussion. We would like to take you one message is that anyone can make a change. From the very smaller person to the very elder person, anyone can make a change in life. We are starting to do something. Maybe we not have very much viewers at first, but if we all start and take our own decisions and we start to do something else, every single one of us from 16 years or 5 years or 18 years can make a change in the world. We have to believe in ourselves, and we have to believe in Mother Earth's work, and we have to go for the best about it. Shane and Shafa, would you like to say something before I invite this along?
yes, I would also like to add that since you're probably going as a representative of Bangladesh, and I would like to say that We are a developing country, and due to the emissions, carbon dioxide emission and greenhouse gas emissions of the developed countries, we are the ones who are getting most affected. We are the ones suffering from floods every year. And as a developed country like the United States and Europe and Canada, they have a responsibility towards us to save the world and to care about other people as well. And due to they have the highest, Japan, China, India, they have the highest carbon dioxide emissions. And if they don't reduce this, how are we going to survive? We don't have the economic stability to fight for us, to fight for our people. And so they need to know that how badly we will suffer and how our people are going to suffer because of their emissions.
Yes, Shafa, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would like to add something too. I want you, Farzin Firdaus Alam, to tell them that we're not here to make deals. You see, we don't belong to any financial interest or political party, so we can't bargain or negotiate. We are here to once again remind you of the emergency we are in, the crisis that you and your predecessors have created and inflicted upon us, the crisis that you continue to ignore. It's time we act upon it.
Thank you, Shafat. Now we have a question from Yasha Chakraborty. How do you relate microbial resistance with climate change? Yes, microbial resistance actually has something to do with climate change. Because what is microbial resistance? Like germs, like pathogens becoming resistant to the changing manners of nature and things like that. So it is very harmful if we keep changing the nature and microbial resistance increases and everything. So that is a way microbial resistance can actually cause negative problems, and it can actually be very problematic for us. So Shafat and Shini, would you like to add something to this? Shini?
Shirin, you
Yes,
can speak first.
you are absolutely correct. I completely agree.
And Shafat?
Yes, I agree with you completely, honestly.
So
Next, we have a question from Nazneen Sultana. How many people have died due to COVID till now? Um, Currently, about 4.9 million people have died due to COVID 19, and hopefully, not many more will if we take the appropriate precautions necessary.
yes, Shini, you are right. I think that is the latest statistics till now. I'm not sure. Maybe it has been
Yes.
changing. So there is some question from Azaduzzaman Sardar. Human being is becoming a threat for humans itself, don't you think? So Shafat, can you tell something about it?
Yes, sure. So, Mr. Asalujaman, humanity is but a blip on the time scale of life on Earth. But that blip is all that we have, and our present global course guarantees its extinction. What are the realities? Why should the situation be of interest to medical practitioners, and what should we be doing? 2 centuries ago, Thomas Malthus was proclaiming another message. He propounded the theory that the population would continue to outstrip the available food supplies. His remedy was stern limits to human reproduction. It's human itself is a weakness to itself. It has not determined what extent humans could increase their life cycle. In short, actually, humanity is trying to kill itself. Unless people start to take action and do not recognize the seriousness of this issue, we can't play to our strengths. And this is something that will bring the end of the world if not taken proper precautions.
Thank you, Shafat. I think Sheen will also agree to your response. Yes, indeed, humans are becoming a threat for themselves. They're bringing in nuclear weapons and stuff like that, and then they're killing the environment and killing their habitat. Going to Mars is not the only solution. Sorry, Elon Musk, but that is not
No.
the only. We have to think
I
about
mean,
something to save the Earth,
we have to think about saving our home planet first, the planet who has provided us with so many
the life,
resources.
exactly.
Yeah, and you just it's really surprising to see, recently, like 1 year back and probably now as well, the prime minister of Brazil, Bolsonaro, he he literally cut down the Amazon because for infrastructure purposes and for industrial purposes. Who does that, right?
That is
That
very
is,
well.
Amazon is the largest forest in the world, and with the most unique and abundance of resources, natural resources. So you have to protect the Amazon before you think about industrialization, and that is very sad to see that we are killing our own Mother Earth.
Right, Shalini, you are very right. We're doing our industrialization. In fact, there are many ways actually that economy can be actually related to the environment, and we can actually save the economy, both economy and both environment. There is a question from Adnan Maruf: how can we maintain the relationship with economy and the environment? Thank you, Adnan Maruf, for asking this very important question. Indeed. So now there is a term in economics that we like to call sustainable economic growth, which means a rate of growth which can be maintained without creating other significant economic problems, especially for the future generations. There is a clearly a trade-off between rapid economic growth today and the growth in the future. We must keep in mind the future, the growth and the advantages of the future generation. We must keep in mind that if we are now very spending very much behind other other things like we are spending now and have to keep and destroying the environment, exploiting the environment, what will our future generations experience and live with, right? So and economy and environment, so you have to keep in mind the sustainable economic growth. Actually, the new thing that has started is the what do you call it? Yes, like the cashless economy. We're actually going virtual with our cash as well. We are now going on Bcash, on Nogood, on Google Pay, and stuff like that. And many other websites have also been created. We are now paying with credit cards, and this cashless economy is actually like cutting down of trees is now stopping. So it's a very good thing. Maybe if we're now actually encouraging virtual classes more, we'll be writing on our tablets or recording the notes instead of writing in paper. So cutting down trees will also be stopped. So economy and environment can go hand in hand if we go for sustainable economic growth. That is my view. Shafat, can you say something more on this?
Actually, honestly, I already answered this question once, but I'm happy to repeat again. About your question about how economics and the environment uh, can live peacefully together. I told you as the economic impact is indeed very much to slow us down. There is an opportunity cost that economists use, that spending billions of dollars on coronavirus and other such diseases is having a loss in, let's say, the fund that we have for fighting global warming. Worldwide economics are now racking their brains to find out ways to regain this money. So let's leave it to the big brains to find that out. Now, economics, as I said, is an uncertain and exciting game. And what I can suggest to you is to spend more money and level the aggregate demand, which can help us rule out the possibilities of recession that many countries are now fearing.
Yeah, and with as we have come up to economics, I would like to add that the world leaders, they are clearing forests and destroying their natural resources for industrialization. And as a result, this will be the opportunity cost of a sustainable future for us and our next generations. They are not thinking about the future. They're only thinking about their current economy, about boosting up, about earning more money. But sustainable economic growth is very, very important and very necessary, as mentioned. And we have to raise awareness about the fact. We have to let people know and the world leaders know that the opportunity cost for this is extremely high. It is the opportunity cost is our future.
Yes, Srini, you are very right. If we now spend so much, where will we spend behind in the future? Opportunity costs are rising in the world with limited resources and unlimited wants, as you have learned in economics so well. So we are now nearing the end of our seminar. Please bear with us as we will be now wrapping up. We are very sorry if we could not answer your questions. We're actually overwhelmed with the response of the questions in the very first episode. So thank you very much. We will be answering the we are seeing repeated questions from Yasa and Basha Parvin Chuma and so many others that we couldn't answer. We are extremely sorry. If we couldn't answer your questions now, do not worry. We'll be keeping a note on it and we'll be answering these questions in our next episode or through our Facebook page on the comment section too. So right now, let us actually wrap this thing up because we have to maintain our time schedule. Thank you for staying with us till now. Thank you everyone in the audience and our team members behind the scenes. We have Yasa, Nashita, Samara, and Maisha working very hard to bring us the questions and to stream this at the same time. And also Sahiba and Riz Bhaiya for working in the comment sections to the page for so hard. And we would also like to thank our teachers who have stayed with us till now. All our teachers who have worked so hard and actually supported us to our endeavors so constantly believing us as well. And our school authority, of course, to thank you for making this happen today. Stay tuned to our Facebook page and we will return next month with episode 2. So thank you, dear audience. Thank you, everyone. A very, very good evening, good night, on whatever time zone you're watching in. On behalf of the Green World Arts Club family, we wish you a very joyous Eid celebration. Eid Mubarak.